I'm Darren the Magic Ghostbuster. So very recently I've decided to make a Vigo costume finally. It's been an idea in the back of my head for quite a while. A few friends have even suggested it, you know, me being a magician, him being a very powerful magician. I've got the long hair. So yes, finally going to do it, which is hopefully it'll come out good. Now this isn't going to be a video I'm going to film in 5 minutes and edit. I'm going to be filming this over the course of weeks, if not months. It's going to take quite a while to do this, but hopefully the results will be worth it. I'm not going for 100% screen accuracy. I'm going to try and make it as accurate as possible, but you know, if there's slight little details, I'm not fussed as long as it looks good, and you know, and people will look at that and go, that's Vigo. That's my main aim. One of the difficult things is the colour with Vigo's costume. I've been looking at obviously lots of pictures to get, you know, ideas and stuff, look at all the little details, and I've come across some Vigo cosplays from the past that people have done, and they've all made the same mistake, which is making the costume very, very dark brown. Still, you know, good costumes. The figures were dark brown as well, the Diamond Select, the Mattel figures, and I don't really know why the figures got that wrong, but his costume's not dark brown. It's actually quite a light colour when you look at it. But I don't know if it's something about, you just think of Vigo, maybe you just think of him in dark brown, maybe, you know, darker colour, more evil or something. I'm not sure what, but like I said, it's not very dark brown. So I'm not sure I'm going to get the exact colour right, but you know, I'm gonna try and get all the details as good as I can get. A couple of things that I think are going to be the hardest is the skull buckles he has up here and the belt buckle. Again, you know, not fussed about being 100% screen accurate as long as I get something that looks decent. Now, I have bought some material already, so I haven't actually started making the costume as I'm filming this part of the video, but I bought this distressed suede effect material off of Etsy. It's a bit more distressed than I would have liked, I'll be honest, but I actually really like it. I think this looks really cool, and I'm not sure how it comes out on the camera, but it's not too dark. It's it looks very close to the colour to my eye, but like I said, a bit more distressed than I would have liked, but I think I'm going to go with this because I just like the look of the distressed look, so that's probably what I'm going to go with. I also bought from my local Dunelm store some rope. I bought white rope and I've dyed this using the old dye in the bucket method, and quite pleased with the results of that, because he has like I don't know if they've used rope, but like the edging looks like this sort of rope that goes around like that, so that's what I'm going to use for that. And then there's like thinner rope around the parts of his collar and stuff, so I'm going to use that. And then what I've also bought is some like vinyl material, dark brown vinyl material from a local shop. That's white on the back, as is this one as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the vinyl material to shape, make sure it's all correct, and then I'm going to stick this on it back to back, so there's no white showing at all. So the vinyl is hopefully going to just make it a bit more rigid, not too baggy, and you know, if someone manages to catch a glimpse of a little bit underneath, you know, they're just going to see dark brown, they're not going to see white or anything. So that's what I'm going to use. But yeah, there's not much more to say at this point in time, but as the video goes on, hopefully you'll see the progress and hopefully see a really cool Vigo costume at the end. Okay, so I started off by cutting this bit of vinyl out, doing lots of different measurements and trying to work everything out. So for this portion of the costume, let's just put that over just so you get a rough idea of how that looks. So like I said earlier, I'm not going to actually use this as the front portion. This is going to be actually worn this way, and I'm going to stick the other material over it. This vinyl is really just to stiffen it up a bit really and make it fit better. But just adjust that there. So overall, generally happy with the shape and all that. Examining some of the photographs, I actually noticed that there's like a cut here and there, so these parts are not actually attached, if that makes sense. It's very, I noticed that in a picture of him when he's sitting down doing his makeup, so that's interesting. So I think once I cut there, this will sit a tad nicer as well. Then you have these bits of material coming up here and all sorts, but I think roughly that is about the right size, so I'm happy with that so far. One other thing I just wanted to mention, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going for 100% screen accuracy. So, in case you're wondering, I'm not going to be bleaching my hair blonde when I do this costume. I will just be having my hair its a normal colour. Okay, so what I've done was, I thought I was recording me spraying all this, and it turns out I wasn't. So, what I've done, I'll turn this around just so you can see it. I've cut the bits to shape, like this, and use spray glue, which is this stuff, to attach it. And then my plan is, once it's dried, I'm going to cut around the edge, fold it over and glue it in place, but then sew it as well for extra security. The reason I've cut these two bits separate is because these have these bits that go along and it kind of attaches back with straps over it and so on. Very hard to explain. These bits are also darker, so once that's done, I'm going to paint that with this brown fabric paint to make that darker, and then the bits over the top will be this colour. I can buy this material in darker colour, which I did consider, but then I've got to buy a whole metre just for these two little bits. So yeah, plan to use the spray for those darker bits. But yeah, now it's a case of just waiting for this to dry and moving on to the next stage. Okay, so I'm currently working on these bits. So sprayed this the dark brown, which seems to have come out okay, and then I've made all these, and I've done that by sticking a bit of vinyl to the back of this and then folding that over and then sewing it down. And now you'll notice that these are slightly longer than this, and that's because on the costume they actually come up a little bit like that. So what I've done with this one, they've all been stitched on at the bottom, and I'm going to do the same here. And then once the studs have arrived, I'm going to add all the studs and then sew them into place and then sew them back to the main bit. So making progress there. So little update today. Studs arrived. So I got these pyramid studs. I got the larger ones, so they're for the belt, the large ones, because with the belt I had a large one, then two small ones and another large one and so on. And then I got these ones, little spikes, and these basically push into the material and then you bend the spikes back, so they're going to go all along these parts. And I've already done it on this side, as you can see. Just move that out of the way. And then what I've done is I sewed these bits up and then sewed that to there, and I need to do that on this side. And then I've also cut this bit of material here to shape, so that's the bit that a lot of these pyramid studs are going to go on. And now it's very hard to tell the colour of this. It looks like it's like a very dark silver. So I've bought some silver spray paint that's designed for fabric that I shall try, and we'll see how that comes out. Okay, so I gave this a coat of silver spray paint, and then I've gave it like a dusting of black, literally just now, just to dull it. So it looks a bit shiny because it's wet, but hopefully once it's dried, it will look perfect. So slowly making progress here. I've done only this side so far. I have sewn this rope in here, so I've sort of gone underneath and then just under a little bit of rope and then back down, so there's no thread going like actually over the top of the rope, if that makes sense. So pretty happy with that. Got to do this side and then down here, and then I've done the collar, which is going to be attached here. And what I did was I've sewn a small piece of rope along the top, and then because this is obviously going to be in contact with my skin, when I added these, I've done extra material to go over the top just so these bits didn't irritate my skin or anything. So the next step is to stitch that in around here, and then add some of the the rope, small rope, around here. Okay, so this is dried, and I'm actually really happy with the colour of this bit. Yeah, very happy how that has turned out. So I haven't sewn it in here. I'm pushing these studs through to attach it, at least on this front portion, and then I will probably end up putting a few stitches in further around here, but I think these studs down here is going to be enough to hold that, because I'm getting so sick of a needle and thread now, and I've still got loads more sewing to do. I'm not an expert sewer, but by any means, absolutely. Probably much better ways of doing it than what I'm doing it, but yeah, I'll be glad when I don't have to see a needle or thread ever again. So, little update for today. I made these straps last night, and I found a couple of skull belt buckles online. Not exactly the same. I never thought I'd find exactly the same without, you know, making my own, but these look pretty close to the same shape, which are obviously going to go on these bits here. I've done this bit of paper, which is the size. It says they are on the on eBay. That's where I got them. So I've measured that. Let's just hope that their sizing is accurate now. So I've just got to wait for those to arrive before I can finish this piece off. So now it's on to the skirt part next, I suppose. But before I move on to that, I'm going to take a little break and add these new things from Magnolia onto my flight suit and then get back to the skirt. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with how it's coming along so far. Having a quick test wear of it last night, I noticed when I put it on that these parts tend to go like this, so that's something I'm going to have a look at once it's all finished and measure it up. I might end up folding some of these back. I've got eyelets that are going to go in these to do the tying when I wear it eventually, but that's going to be the last thing I do when I start measuring it properly. So started working on the skirt part of Vigo's costume, and I've cut these to shape and then stuck these to the back of the material. So once these are all folded over and everything, they're going to layer. This is the belt, and hopefully come out good. So these are all now sewn like this. I've put a little bit of extra material on the ends of each one. That's just so I have a bit of leeway for when it comes to actually fitting them around my waist. Like I think I measured it okay here, but I just wanted that extra bit of security, especially once I start adding on the layers and stuff. So got that. So now it's just a case really of attaching all these together. Now on the original costume, from what I can tell, the belt was not actually attached to the skirt. It was a separate piece, but I am going to attach it just so you know, it doesn't end up falling lower or higher or something. But yeah, I've got to add the studs. Got all the studs for this. The only thing I'm struggling with at the moment is the actual belt buckle, which is like a round swirly thing. So I've got to think if I can make like a replica of that, or you know, go for something different like a skull. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so this is all stitched together now. I've got all these studs on here. So now it's just to work on up here on the belt area. So this rope is going to line along there and along the top. And luckily I've got just enough of that rope left. And then I've got these studs that need to be pushed in. Now the belt buckle, I think I said earlier, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. I am just come from a local pound shop and found these foil trays. So I'm wondering if I could possibly make something with that. I don't know, it's just a thought in my head at the moment. It might turn out to be a disaster and not work, but worst case it will make a better placeholder than this bit of cardboard. But that is where we are at the moment. Okay, so a little progress update, and this piece is now finished. I've put eyelets in there so I can tie it up at the back, but just put it on roughly, and that is how it looks. The belt buckles were perfectly sized, so very happy with that. And when I do it up, all I have to do is turn it round, lace it up, and then turn it round the correct way. So very happy with that piece. I got for the under parts, I'll just drop one down here. So I was trying to find matching brown trousers and a long sleeve t-shirt. I found some online, but different companies, so the colours weren't matching enough. So I bought white ones and dyed them. The colour is just a tad different from the dyeing process and I guess the material, but it's close enough. So brown long sleeve t-shirt and then brown elasticated trousers. So and they got pockets in, which is good, so I'll have somewhere to put stuff. So there's that. And then the gloves came out like this, so very happy with those. I've put a bit of I had a bit of black spray paint, fabric spray paint left, so I've just gave them a light dusting just to dirty them up a bit. The only thing I'm waiting for now is the studs that are going to go on them, which are coming from China. They're a bit thicker. If you look at his original costume, they're a bit thicker than the other spikes on the other things. Don't think I've got quite thick enough, but I've got as close as I could get. So there's those, and then the gauntlets. Really happy how these come out. They're quite thick, and then they lace up as well. And I did figure out a way of doing this myself, where I pull these tight. I've just pulled it out of the hole, and then I can just about tie it up. Not incredibly tight, but it doesn't need to be too tight. And then tuck the bits underneath. So there's that, and then this piece is almost finished. I've done the eyelets and all. It's just a belt buckle I'm waiting for now. I did attempt to make one out of modelling clay, which you saw earlier. I'm just not very happy how it came out. I just don't think it looks right. But maybe you disagree, I don't know, but it doesn't look quite right to me. So what I found, I've not found an exact replica of the one he wears. It's just not going to happen. So I found more of a square one with rounded corners that has a spiral shape on it. So I've ordered that, and that's probably the one I'm going to use. I'm going to keep this as a backup for now, but I think I'm going to use the one I ordered. But anyway, that's a little bit of an update of where I am. Next thing is really, he has a piece that matches this material sort of around his waist, so I need to make that. That should be quite easy. Just cutting it to shape, hemming the corners. I'm not going to put any of the leatherette stuff underneath that. Doing eyelets to do it up. And then it's the gaiters that go over his boots. Boot-wise, I've got some Anakin Skywalker boots from an old Anakin Skywalker cosplay, which I should dig out actually, because it was the Revenge of the Sith version, which I always wore a wig for because I didn't have long hair back then. So I should probably dig that out at some point. But I'm going to use those boots and then make the gaiters to go over them. So yeah, we're getting there now. So working on the gaiters, and this is what I've got so far. So I've done one, in the process of doing the other. So I've pushed these together with pins so I can stitch this over. I'm using two layers of this just to add a bit of thickness to it, just so it doesn't droop down too much. There's two little strips that go down the front that have studs on, so they're the next bits. I've put eyelets in the back of these and threading that up with rope or string, whatever. In his actual ones, it's not actually exactly like this. There's like buckles at the top, and then it's sort of cut out around there, so you can actually see some of the boot underneath. But I thought if I do it this way, I've got more of an option with what boots I wear, because I'm using these Anakin Skywalker boots, but I didn't realise how worn they are. These ain't real leather. I bought these off eBay years ago, and they're starting to wear quite a bit. So I thought if I have the whole boot covered with these gaiters, then I can just find some, you know, some ankle high brown boots or something to wear with them instead. There is also a bit that goes from here underneath around to the other side. Not sure I'm going to bother with that. I feel that's just something that's going to wear out very easily. But that is where I am at the moment with these. So next stage is to do these bits, and then that's pretty much done. So we're pretty much done with the costume now. I have made this piece. This is the bit that's going to go around the body. That's going to be held in place with these eyelets, and I'm going to use the ties. So that's all good. And then the gloves, finally got the studs for those. can't remember if I said previously, it looks like the studs on the originals are a bit wider, but that's as good as I could get, basically. And then for this, finally got the belt buckle arrived. Now, like I've said, that isn't an accurate belt buckle. The belt buckle was more this shape. It was round with this circle bit on the front. And I couldn't find one like that. So this was the closest I could find. It's got that swirly pattern. It's square shaped, rounded corners, but just sort of put it on diagonal. And I think that looks pretty good. I think it looks better than the one I made myself, personally. And it's quite lightweight as well. So very happy with that. So all really have to do now is put it all on and try it out. So that is the Vigo costume finished. Very happy with how it has come out. It's quite sweaty, to be honest. It's not something I'm going to wear on a very hot day, I don't think, but I really can't wait to wear it out to a convention. It's going to be really cool. You don't see a lot of non-traditional Ghostbusters stuff. Like, when I say non-traditional, I mean like, you know, flight suit, proton pack. That's what most people tend to do. You don't see a lot of Gozers or Vigos or Lewis Tullys or anything out there. You do see them, but not very often. So it's really cool to work on something that's different, basically. And like I said, really look forward to wearing it out. If you ever work on a Vigo costume, I would love to see pictures. Please send them to me on Facebook. Just look for the Magic Ghostbuster. But I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, keep on busting.